And then I was working as a dental technologist. That's when it hit me. This is not what you really want to do. This is life now. This is for real. You're not studying. As long as you're studying something, you don't have to face the music. You're studying. I'm still the student. But when you stop studying, you're like, oh, house, rent, apartment, rent. Now it's for real. I'm like, I don't want to do this for real. What's up? This is Oscar Nunez. This is When Zay Zay Met. And today, Zay Zay met Mr. Nunez.
¿Qué pasa, cómo está mi gente? I am Zay Zay and welcome to When Zay Zay Met. Today is a fun day here at the office because we get to meet a wonderful comedic actor who's been in countless TV and film roles including Benched, People of Earth, Mr. Iglesias, and of course, his unforgettable role as Oscar Martinez in The Office. And now we are celebrating his movie, The Lost City. Ladies and gentlemen, show your love. This is Oscar Nunez. Was that
you speak the truth, my friend.
Now, I want to get to know a little bit about you in your early life. So you're Cuban born. Then your family, when you were young, moved to Venezuela, then to Boston, and finally you guys settled in New Jersey. Tell me a little bit about what it was like for you growing up in New Jersey.
Well, we went from I was little. I don't remember those parts, but I like the emphasis. You're like, we went to Venezuela, and then, but I don't remember. So to me, it was, we left Cuba, went to Venezuela, were there a year, went to Boston. My sister was born there. And then when I was like 4, we moved to New Jersey. So I grew up in New Jersey.
Yeah. And
there were a lot of, the first wave of Cuban immigrants settled in Florida and New Jersey.
Yeah.
And so my parents were in Massachusetts and like, this is cool, but none of our friends are here. So that's when we moved to New Jersey. Wow. And then there were a lot of Cubans there. So I went to school with a bunch of Cubans, but the city was then Italian, German, Irish, and Cubans. That was what Union City was, Weehawken.
Wow.
With a lot of Cubans, like more than 50% of the school was Cubans.
Oh my God.
They were all there. So the people who were there freaked. So a lot of them left to the suburbs, but the ones who stayed were German, Italian. But there were a lot of Cubans in the school. It wasn't it was a lot of Cubans. So
that's amazing. So
I think it was as shocking to them as it is to us because we're little kids. So it's what it is. It doesn't, I have nothing to compare it by.
Right. Right. It's
just what your parents are doing.
That's pretty awesome because that means that, it's, growing up in New York City, you're surrounded by, we all put ourselves in these little sort of ghettos and stuff like that where we want to be around like cultured people, so to speak. Right. And then, of course, the economics of it all kind of put us together anyway. Your situation seemed a little different, though, because you got to grow up with all of your culture still, and not necessarily have to compromise because there were so many of you guys in Weehawken, no?
Yes, the lot of Puerto Ricans and Dominicans in Manhattan, Cubans in New Jersey. And generalization, but Puerto Ricans love the Mets, Cubans love the Yankees, generally speaking. And so our parents were there and doing their thing. I don't know if thinking about culture was uppermost on their mind. I think it was just survival and assimilating was the most important thing to them.
Okay.
As opposed to, I remember when I was little, and some people would say, "Hey, are you Puerto Rican? You're Puerto Rican. You're Puerto Rican." I'm like, "No, I'm Cuban." And then, I would tell my parents, "Hey, some people thought I was Puerto Rican," and they're like, "No, you're Cuban. You're Cuban." But I remember them getting a little too upset about me being confused Puerto Rican, and I'm like, I know Puerto Ricans. They're cool. I like my Puerto Rican friends. And I'm like, my parents aren't really pissed, but I'm like, they're getting, and I'm like, oh, so that's the Cuban pride, but it's okay that we're all, it's complicated. Yeah. It's all, a lot of moving parts, sure. A lot of moving parts.
For sure.
Yeah.
I remember that too growing up. I'm Dominican descent. And yeah, it's like, oh, you're Puerto Rican? Because there was just so many Puerto Ricans in New York.
And it's all there. We're all together.
That we were all together, exactly. And that was just the default. It's amazing. And your life ended up taking a few zigs and zags for your educational, even later on in life. I mean, you went to FIT.
All over the place.
You studied writing.
All over the place.
That you can be a dental technician as well. I think you got an appointment on Thursday. Like, you went everywhere with that. What was it like for you then, like really trying to find your path?
I knew it was comedy, and I knew I would end up in comedy. But when I was growing up in grammar school and in high school, nobody was saying to me, keep doing what you're doing. Keep being a wise ass. You're doing great. Keep being funny. And just everybody was saying, like, stop doing that. So I'm like, well, all right. So I got to figure. So I like fashion. I went into as you do, I can see. I went to FIT after high school, and I was there for a semester, and I'm like, And then I went to dental technologies because my cousin owned a dental lab. And then I was working as a dental technologist, I think for less than a year. And that's when it hit me. I was in my early 20s, and I'm like, okay, this is what you're doing now. This is not what you really want to do. And I finally said to myself, do what you really want to do, because this is life now. This is for real. You're not studying. As long as you're studying something, you don't have to face the music. You're studying. I'm still a student. But when you stop studying, you're like, oh, house, rent, apartment, rent. Now it's for real. I'm like, I don't want to do this for real.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I got a new Backstage West, started taking acting lessons, and then I got into an improv troupe. So I was working in Bloomingdale's in retail, which I love, and doing improv in the Lower East Village. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm on the right track now, because this is what I want to do.
Nice. Very cool. And it's brought you all the way to this and so much entertainment that you provided the world, man. And we truly appreciate that. Let's talk a little bit about the movie, The Lost City. What do you love about this movie? You play an irreverent cargo plane pilot, and you steal the scene each and every time. What do you love about it?
It's with Sandra. She called, and so it's with Sandra Bullock. It's a big movie.
Yeah.
It's funny. I got to do a good part. I got to take and we got to go to DR for a little work vacation. So, arguably the best beaches in the world.
Yep.
So it's all good. And there's nothing, it's a big movie. It's a big ass movie. So it's fun to do big movies, especially when the directors, like, they were very organized, and it moved smoothly, and there were no accidents, thank God, because there were a lot of moving pieces.
Sure.
And I got to do, I worked with Da'Vine, and we had a blast.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. I'm glad we had a blast watching it. For sure. All right, 30 seconds. Sell me this movie. Why do we need to go see The Lost City?
It's an action adventure. Everyone loves action adventure. It's got Sandra Bullock, Channing Tatum, Brad Pitt, a lot of Patty, Oscar, Da'Vine, Daniel, and it's a family movie. So take your kids. You can take your parents. You can take your grandparents. Don't take your nieces and nephews. They don't deserve it. But everyone else you can take. It's a family movie.
I absolutely love it. And I loved you in this movie, man. And thank you again, seriously, for all the years of entertainment.
Thank you, my pleasure.
And I wish you continued success and love in your future, for sure.
Right on, Zay Zay.
Thank you all so much for watching When Zay Zay Met. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell to be notified when we upload more conversations with celebrities and other interesting people. Now, if you'd like to see your favorite celebrity on the show, it's simple. Just tell us who that is by leaving us a comment down below. We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and we'll see you on the next one. Hasta la próxima. Lo quiero del corazón.